Hi, I'm Joanne Ontiveros. I'm a physical therapist at Ventura County Medical Center. I'm going to be talking today about calming a baby. I have two different babies here. One of them is a very small preterm baby, and one of them is an average size baby. I'm going to start by showing you how to calm a baby by swaddling. There's two different ways to swaddle a baby. You can swaddle a baby with the hands to mouth, which is very calming. So you want to get the hands to the mouth and then gently bring the blanket over, tuck it in, keep the hands to the mouth, take the bottom corner, tuck it in underneath the baby, and then the last part you wrap together and wrap the hands towards the face. The reason why you want the hands to the face sometimes is that hands to face is very calming, that a baby can self-soothe, which is very important. Some babies, however, if they're extremely agitated or they're starting to really scratch at their face a lot, you may want to swaddle the arms down. In order to swaddle the arms down, you basically would take the arms, and this actually is called containment, and this activity in itself is calming. You have a baby that's flailing or seems very disorganized in their movement, but I can put the arms together and hold them real gently. Then I'm just going to wrap the towel or the blanket around the baby underneath, bringing the bottom corner kind of like a triangle so that the little feet are cupped, and then bring the other side over. So this is a swaddled baby. Now, one of the other things too, a lot of times babies will like to be, as they get older, they will like to be more of a semi-upright position, such as this, rather than laying down. Some babies associate the laying down position with either eating or sleeping, and so if they're more alert, they may not like to be a little more upright. The other thing that is also helpful is sometimes if your baby wants to look at your face, and you can gently talk to your baby, smile. Sometimes you don't want to talk too loud. You want to talk sometimes gently and softly. If your baby is very agitated, a softer voice will help. Another position with a baby that is very, very gassy is a supported sitting position. So in this position, I'm kind of getting them very, very much upright. And in this position, I'm going to show you the position of the legs, because I want the legs to be starting to come up to the chest. So if you have a baby that is really, really gassy, you can also swaddle the legs so that the hips and knees are slightly tucked. So you kind of tuck the baby up like this and give the baby some support so they're almost in a little sitting position. A lot of babies with gas very much like this position because it can actually help them expel some of the gas. You can also gently bring the legs up, either together, or you could bicycle them and bring the legs up so that you're real gently kind of moving the abdomen and getting some of that air out. If the baby likes to be in this tucked position, you can continue to keep those legs swaddled. Another position for babies that are really, really gassy, which is a very favorite position, is I can real gently use my right hand to very much support the bottom of the baby, and then I can have the baby sort of in a downright position. So in this position, my arm is a little bit over the abdomen, and so it's giving a tiny bit of pressure to the abdomen as I'm holding the baby. That will also help expel some of the gas. This position is really nice, and if they get really fussy, you want to just real gently walk around. So very gently walk around with the baby. So you can use your arm like this. You can also use this arm if it's more comfortable to get the baby very well positioned. You always want to support the head. So I'm always containing the head and making sure the head is not floppy. So either use your left or your right hand to really support the baby underneath. But this is kind of like a semi laying down position or side, and then I'm giving them a little bit of support with my hand on their tummy. So this is a really good position to help with gas or nighttime if you've already fed the baby. If they don't seem to be able to burp, you want to real gently kind of move them around. See if you can get that air out. Sometimes just very gently changing the position will expel the air out. So moving positions can also help with getting the air out, and if they can't burp. Another one of the positions, and I'm going to unwrap the baby at this time to show you this one. If you have, and I'm always supporting the baby, the number one thing you always want to get control of is their head. They have no control over their head, so that's the number one position that you're always holding on to. Another position that is really nice is to get the baby all the way up on, and his stomach is basically on top of my shoulder. So in this position, the shoulder, my shoulder is giving him a little bit of pressure on the tummy, which also helps expel gas. I'm very gently rocking, and I'm also kind of with a firmer pat, but not just a firm pat to the buttocks. They also like that. A lot of babies don't like very light touch, so it's more of a nice firm pat, and usually on the buttocks is the best area. So this is a really nice position. The other thing that I can do to help with the gas is I can gently bring the legs even farther up so that he's really flexed and his little knees and legs are underneath his body, and his chest is basically on top of my shoulder. So this is also a really favorite position if you have a very gassy baby. A lot of babies that are on a very high calorie diet, high protein diet, or higher calorie, which is usually 24, 22, they can be very gassy. If your child has not had a bowel movement or pooped in several days, they will be gassy and they may be fussier. Usually if they haven't pooped in at least 3 days, you want to definitely inform your doctor. But sometimes changing position can help. So always want to move slowly and always want to move gently and talk softly. The other thing is, if your child is awake in the middle of the night, do not turn a bright light on. So if your child is awake and you are trying to get them back calmed down, keep the light very low or have a night light. The brightness of the light will stimulate the brain to wake up, and you'll have a lot harder time getting your child back to sleep. Another nice position is just real gently, almost using your body like a little swing. So I'm just containing the baby and I'm just holding them like they're in a little swing and rocking really gently back and forth. You can also just walk around the house, walk around the room, and you always want to go slow and gently. You never want to move quickly or jump up and down or jiggle your baby fast. That's going to be agitating, and also it can be harmful to the baby if you move the baby too fast. Another way to position the baby is if you have some pillows or a boppy pillow, you can very gently settle your baby in together so that their hands are together, and this is sort of supporting the baby in a reclining condition, and they have their arms together so that it's comforting and they're in midline, and it also prevents them from startling themselves. Anytime you're during the day that you're able to watch your child, they can relax in this position. One thing though I want to caution is, the most part, if you're going to use a boppy, you always want to be present, especially with an older baby beyond 2 to 3 months. They can move. If you have this on a carpet, that's fine because they can't really go anywhere. But if you have it, if for instance this is a bed, you want to have them safely away from the edge of the bed. So this is a nice position. You want to keep the child in midline. This is good for calming. You can also swaddle a child in this position. This is a smaller preemie, which I'm going to show you some of the same things. So a really tiny preemie, you have to have lots and lots more support, where you're very gently just holding the entire baby, and a lot of families feel a little more cautious with a preemie, but you still can swaddle. You just don't have to use as much of the blanket. And you also want to do the same thing where you wrap them midline. A lot of preemies have especially strong back muscles, so it's very important to keep the preemie with the arms together and forward so that you don't stimulate them for their startle. So same things occur, and I can use the really small positioner with the preemie where you get them nice and comfortable and swaddled. A lot of preemies can be overstimulated by a lot of activity, sounds, loud noises. If your child becomes overstimulated in that way, you want to have a dimmer light, less activity, and that kind of thing. The other things that you can use to calm or pacifiers, there's nothing wrong with using a pacifier. It's not going to damage the teeth. Some people can also use it in conjunction with the hand to mouth, but a pacifier, there's lots of different types. This is usually your hospital grade pacifier. So a lot of times some kids will continue to use the pacifier for several years, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to try to wean the pacifier usually by the time the child's talking, which is towards like the second year. But if the child is very much the type of child that needs some kind of calming, and you're trying to get them off the bottle towards the first year at 12 to 13 months, you can use a pacifier. Some of the other things that are calming are really small tactile toys. So these are really tiny toys that have bumps. So sometimes if you have a child that you help to grab and put this to their mouth, that can be self-calming. Children usually can grasp a toy around 3 to 4 months of age for a very short period of time. The smaller toys are better and lighter, and you don't have to worry about the child banging themselves. So the rings are really, really nice to start with for calming. The other things that you can use later for calming, you can use music. So if they like really just gentle music, you can put something on. They also have some of the little music boxes that you can actually attach near the crib that can help with calming, and some of them even have water or nature sounds, which are very calming. They also sell small little nature sound boxes, which are probably the size of a ball, that can also be put near the child for calming. As a child gets older too, you can try more tactile toys, and also this is a teething toy that has water in it, so later on for calming you can try putting that in a little bit of cold water or in the refrigerator and seeing if that will calm a child if they're teething later, and you can get them to do some chewing and self-soothing. You really want a child to begin to learn to self-soothe around maybe 3, 4, 5 months. Give them more and more opportunity to self-soothe. Up before that point, your child is trying to tell you something when they do cry, so you need to attend to them. It's not always, sometimes it's a gas issue, especially if they don't want to take the bottle. You want to make sure that you see if they have any gas, and so again, you want to try the different positions to get them more comfortable with the gas. A really tiny baby, you can do some reciprocal movements, and just any of the flexion and gentle hand to foot is good to try to also stimulate some of the gas out. Some babies can actually tolerate a little bit of tummy time, and that actually is calming for them. So one of the ways during the day you could try to calm your child is to put your child in a tummy position. This position, if their arms are really flexed underneath them, is really nice, because then you can support them, and they can also give themselves a little bit of tummy time, and also sometimes relieve some of the gas pressure. A lot of times too, as children get older, they can be distracted a little bit with either a mirror or a bright toy or something that's getting their attention, and that can help with calming. You always want to try to give your child a little bit of tummy time every day so that they learn that this is a position that they can push themselves and start to have some control over their head and neck and back. Some children, when they're left completely on a flat surface such as this, they will start to startle. So you want to just help them contain themselves from startling, and eventually over time they should be able to sleep without startling themselves. But you can use, they do sell swaddle sacks, and they do sell, you can even get blankets that are lighter than this for swaddling. You don't want the child to be startling themselves and waking themselves up. So another way for calming is just containment, where I'm just sort of holding the baby from flailing, and also sometimes just a really gentle patting. Again, the things to avoid just to overstimulate a baby are bouncing, bright lights, a lot of noise, and too much overactivity. So again, if your child continues to be very fussy and is at a point where you feel it's abnormally fussy, you need to call your doctor and make sure your child's not getting sick. Thanks very much.